Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origin is a game that asks the age-old question, is it possible for something to be so cringe that it's actually based? Stranger of Paradise boldly seeks the answer to this philosophical question, and recently I've sat down and played the brand new trial version 2 of the game, and the game is truly shaping up to be something unexpected, perhaps for both the better and the worst. This new demo gives us not only all the content from the previous demo, it also gives us a look at the Final Fantasy XIII inspired sunlit waterscape, as well as a brand new playable character, Iris. Neon. You can tell that they took our feedback quite seriously, and numerous improvements have been made, both to the game's graphics and gameplay. I'm not gonna lie to you, the game still pretty much looks like cheeks, but maybe a little bit firmer after a few deadlifts. It's also incredibly nice that we're not just going to get dark and dreary areas, but also some outdoor dreary areas. The point is that color is there, and there is variety more than just what we've seen in the first demo. However, where this game truly shines is its gameplay. Square Enix has made a ton of action Final Fantasy games over the past decade. Most of them have not been particularly great, with Final Fantasy VII Remake being thus far their best attempt at any action game system. Team Ninja has done an incredible job with the combat in this game. While Remake was a hybrid of action and turn-based, this is straight up action and will likely be the preference for some gamers over a menu-driven system. While in the demo and in the final game, unless you're doing multiplayer mode, you can only play as Jack. However, there is a ton of gameplay variety just within Jack alone, thanks to the glorious return of the job system, with a very large array of jobs that you can choose from, including more jobs that you can unlock. There are so many different playstyles that gamers can mess around with, Mage in particular being straight busted if you target enemies' elemental weaknesses. And once you factor in the online co-op multiplayer to this game is likely to be one of the most replayable Final Fantasy games ever. It makes me feel like previous Final Fantasy action games should have been co-op. 15, 7R, they should have had co-op to them. Imagine how much fun that would have been. If Final Fantasy 16 has party members, make it co-op. Why not? As far as the AI party members go here, the AI has been improved tremendously. AI party members are one of my least favorite things about action RPGs. Even when they're done well, they're still not that great. Even when the character I'm playing as is doing a great job in combat, I still have to babysit the other party members to make sure that they aren't dying, throwing away resources, and a whole host of other things. Although in this game, they actually work pretty decent. Pressing left and right on the D-pad will trigger them to become more aggressive and attack the enemy with all their might. Until then, they tend to play rather cautious and defensively. The result is that I never felt like the AI companions were a burden, and being able to manually time how aggressive they would be with enemies made them a strategic asset. Again, this is not something I normally say about most action RPGs, and Team Ninja should definitely be commended for what they've done here. And what they've done is create a solid action RPG, one in which every single enemy doing damage to you feels like your fault, your responsibility for not responding and reacting to the situation appropriately, something I believe is the hallmark of any decent action game. From targeting enemies' elemental weaknesses to staggering them, to comboing between different jobs, knowing which job to use in each situation, knowing when to block and when to parry, it always feels like you have numerous options to approach every combat situation. And I think seeing what people are able to do with the flexibility of this moving forward will be the long-standing appeal of this game. Because the appeal of this game is certainly not going to probably be the characters or story, because oh boy. However you felt about the characters in the previous trailers and demos, almost nothing here is going to actually turn that opinion around. This game is fucking hilarious. The problem is that I don't think they intended for this game to be funny. In fact, I know they didn't intend for this game to be as funny as it is, because they were upset by the chaos memes. Look, I know they want to play this up as a very serious, dark, and gritty story, but I actually think that's the wrong move. If the final game practices some self-awareness and realizes just how silly this all is, it could end up answering that philosophical question. Can something be so cringe that it's actually based? Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origin shows us that yes, it can be, but only if it's aware of what it is and what it's trying to sell to us. Because if it's not, not, they'll be serious and we'll be laughing. And that's never a good paradigm. Stranger of Paradise is unironically a fun video game that at its core seems to be pretty engaging. I do really enjoy myself while playing it, and at the end of the day, that's the most important thing about a video game. In terms of its story, characters, and everything else, from what we can tell so far, they may see some success due to the memes and the fun associated with how unintentionally hilarious it is. What remains to be seen though is if the game can be taken as seriously as the developers take it, and hopefully we'll have story and characters much deeper than chaos memes and Limp Bizkit. So am I excited for this game? You bet. Am I worried for this game? Absolutely. But we'll just have to see how it all plays out when the game launches on March 18th, 2022. Shout out to patron Twilight Princess and the rest of the Ultima community.